Welcome everyone to Triple S Reviews. In this video we're going to point by point review and break down Alien Earth Season 1 Episode 4. Fair warning, this video will contain spoilers. Now, let's begin. Point number 1. The opening shot of the doll's head in the water brings to mind Newt's doll's head, Casey, sinking in the sewer after Newt's been taken by Xenos in the movie Aliens. Newt was taken by Xenos, leaving Casey behind. The Lost Boys were taken by Cavalier, leaving this doll's head behind. And this also reminds me of the theory of how maybe the kids' minds weren't transferred but instead copied. And the still alive kids with their still alive minds were murdered to cover up this fact. The doll's head could represent the dead kids, and because a doll's head is empty, this might actually be a point against the theory, as it could be seen the kids' minds were in fact transferred, leaving their heads empty. Point number 2. So Wendy going to the lab wasn't a Xeno-induced psychic vision hallucination dream sequence. She actually did go into the lab, and either Tootles, Curly and Kirsch didn't hear her, or they weren't curious enough to check which other synth body haver just entered. So my guess was correct then, that the scene of Kirsch putting the tadpole in the lung tank did actually happen after the scene of us seeing Wendy collapsed. We were just shown the scenes in the wrong order. Also, tadpole in the lung tank. Try saying that 5 times fast whilst drunk. Point number 3. Goddamn Cavalier continuing to still treat Kirsch like shit. Leave the better man alone, boy. Just look at Kirsch's face. One of these days he's going to snap, and then Cavalier's neck is going to snap. Point number 4. Nice touch having Curly take Cavalier seriously and start touching buttons without knowing what they do. First I said maybe Curly should be called Tinkerbell. Now I'm thinking she should be called Dee Dee instead. Point number 5.
Asimov said above a certain level, technology is indistinguishable from magic.
No, he did not, boy. It was actually Arthur C. Clarke who said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Me thinks Cavalier is getting Clarke's and Asimov's 3 laws mixed up, and I'll go into what Asimov's 3 laws actually are later on in the video. Point number 6.
Sure, you speak French, but can you do that?
I mean, if you altered the range of her hearing, I'm sure she would be able to as well. Unless the show really is telling us that the Xenos actually are specifically just broadcasting their hive mind to Wendy. That Curly and the other Lost Boys should be able to hear them but can't because the Xenos aren't letting them. Only Wendy. And if that does turn out to be the case, I don't know how to feel about that. I'd need to hear a reason for why the Xenos are choosing to specifically communicate with Wendy that's believable without being stupid. For now, I'm going with Wendy's hearing is somehow different to the other hybrids to the point it can't be replicated. And the Xenos aren't trying to talk to her, it's just that she can tap into their hive mind frequency and hear them, as Cavalier says to Atomize. Point number 7. We get no appearance of the mold sprayer guy this episode, but we do get the triumphant return of Ice Age. Hell yeah. Point number 8. I called it that Atomize was talking out of his ass when he said to Slightly they didn't catch what Morrow whispered to him. Just why lie about that? What was the point? Explain yourself, Atom. Point number 9. When this overlay happened of the Xeno eggs over Slightly, my first reaction was, do they think we are so stupid that we won't realise Slightly and Morrow are talking about Xeno eggs unless they show them on screen? But then the overlays kept happening, showing both Morrow and Slightly. Then they return later on in the episode to show Kirsch is listening in. And yeah, it's not because they think their audience are morons, it's just an artistic editing choice like the split diopter shot and instrumental interlude from the previous episode. And like the instrumental interlude, but unlike the split diopter shot, I thought these overlays were pretty neat. Point number 10. Kumi's a Ghanaian name, but it's also a Japanese name, and the Yutani part of Weyland-Yutani is Japanese. So could there be more of a connection between Morrow and Yutani than him just being an employee? More of a connection to grandmother Yutani, which is why he reacted when he realised she was dead, and why he's taking getting the aliens back so personally. Point number 11. Returning to Asimov's 3 laws, Kirsch actually mentions one here to Slightly. Asimov's first law of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. On screen are also the next 2 laws. Most people will have heard all of Asimov's 3 laws of robotics from either his own work, or the movies Bicentennial Man and I, Robot, which are based on Asimov's work. Alien fans will also have already heard the first law before in Aliens, when Bishop is trying to reassure Ripley he isn't going to try and murder her like Ash tried to.
It is impossible for me to harm or by mission of action allow to be harmed a human being.
Point number 12. When the Ocellus takes control of the sheep, it tries to stand on 2 legs, and this got me thinking 2 things. 1, oh my god, that is fucking horrifying. And 2, Why? Is the Ocellus just trying to imitate all the bipeds it's been interacting with recently? Or is its typical prey back on its home planet bipedal, so that's what it's used to? Is that why it was only using 2 legs when it was controlling the cat? And did this abomination from hell actually try to say hello? Speaking of speaking aliens, I've seen a lot of people on the r/LV426 subreddit say they hope Ocellus does take control of a human so we can hear what it has to say, which I think would be pretty cool too. Will it be a nice creature that doesn't understand it's causing harm by doing what it does? Or will it be like the Primordial from Halo and reveal incredible secrets of the universe that are so terrifying it causes people to die by chop suey? In any case, I find it interesting fans want to hear what Ocellus has to say, but then find it stupid that Wendy can talk to, in quotations, the Xenos. Why is the one thing a cool idea but the other not so much? Maybe it reminds people of the original ending idea for Alien where the Xeno kills Ripley then sends out a distress call speaking in her voice. Point number 13. And even more petty jealousy from Boy. Like, how jealous do you have to be to get the attention of an alien that could and most likely would kill you? And point yourself out to it. Basically telling it you're the one it needs to go after. You're the high priority target. What a moron. Point number 14. Atom Eyes catching the ball thrown by Cavalier reminds me of when Cavalier threw a ball at Wendy and she caught it. Atom Eyes has got the same fast reflexes as Wendy. Could he actually be a synth? And if he is, why does Cavalier treat him better than Kirsch? Point number 15. Of course Neverland has an actual crocodile. Or hell, maybe it's also a synth. Either way, Cavalier is just so obsessed with Peter Pan, my god. Point number 16. Of all the things I was expecting Nibs to say, I'm pregnant was nowhere on the list. My best guess for why she believes she's pregnant is her mind coming up with a way to cope with how she's feeling, concerning her ongoing existential crisis and her recent traumatic alien encounter. Also, it's nice they finally allowed Nibs actor Lily Newmark to show a different facial expression. Point number 17. Dame Sylvia being absolutely terrified of Nibs I feel really gets across the common experience of parents whose children for one reason or another become violent and aggressive and can actually cause harm, leading to parents becoming afraid of their children and having to seek out help to feel safe while still being able to raise them. Point number 18. Classic evil organisation pressuring an employee into indentured servitude to pay off a debt. Although, would you say the Oran High School Host Club is an evil organisation? Point number 19. Hermit picking up what looks like a synth's heart has got to be symbolism in relation to if Wendy is actually still Marcy after being transferred. Like Atamind says, the mind being transferred is one question, but it actually being her, does she still have the same heart and soul, is a much different question. Point number 20.
And I should add the difference between a $1 trillion business and a blanket with sleeves.
A what?
An invention that no one wanted.
Atom Eins hates Snuggies confirmed. Point number 21. I like how the writers knew fans would piece together that the Xeno is like the crocodile and Wendy hearing the ticking is like Hook hearing the ticking. And then to have Cavalier point it out, it's like how he says we should always assume he's ahead of us. Point number 22. I really don't understand why Cavalier is assuming that just because Wendy can hear the Xenos, that also means she can understand them. I can hear someone speaking Chinese, but that doesn't mean I understand what the hell they're saying. How is this boy genius so dumb? Point number 23. Well, I guess Cavalier letting Wendy go to save her brother wasn't some secret act of compassion like I theorized. In fact, him saying how he doesn't like brothers, mothers, and fathers raises questions about his deceased family. How close was he really to them? Is he just saying this as a coping mechanism to deal with his loss? Trying to convince himself he never liked them? Or is it true he never liked them and could he have had something to do with them dying? Did he get rid of them because they kept trying to tell him what to do? Point number 24. Is Cavalier just being weird here grabbing Wendy's pinky with his entire hand, or does he in fact not know how to actually pinky promise? And if he doesn't know how, could that be due to him not having a normal childhood, what with him being a prodigy and losing his family? Point number 25. You see kids, this is why you should never tell strangers your full name. Like, legit though, does anyone else remember being warned to not put any personal information including your name on the internet when they were a kid? But now, look at the internet today with like family vloggers uploading very personal information about their kids for all the world to see. Point number 26. So Kirsch knows Morrow is talking to Slightly, but hasn't told anyone, and now he knows Morrow wants Slightly to infect someone with a Xeno. Earlier, Kirsch asked Slightly that if he did something evil, would Slightly report him. Cavalier pointed at himself when he was jealous Kirsch was getting attention from the Ocellus. He also said to Atom that he won't give the aliens back to Yutani because he doesn't want to end up with a Xeno in his belly, and he stuck his face right up to a Xeno egg as people for some reason are wont to do. Combine all of that with how much petty hate he keeps throwing in Kirsch's direction, and I actually think this all points to Cavalier, not Hermit, being the one to end up getting face-hugged, and it will be Kirsch, not Slightly, who's going to do it. Kirsch tested Slightly not to see if he'd reveal he's been speaking to Morrow, but instead to see if he would report Kirsch or not. If he would keep Kirsch doing something bad a secret, just like he's keeping his communicating with Morrow a secret. So I think due to all the abuse he's taken, Kirsch will, maybe with the help of Slightly, put Cavalier in a position to be face-hugged. Whether or not Kirsch will then give Cavalier to Morrow is another question entirely. Could he end up defecting to Weyland-Yutani, or will he go rogue? Point number 27. Was it actually Cavalier who told Wendy to go to the lab, considering he's not there but Kirsch is? Also, I've seen people call Wendy petting the chestburster cringe because it implies Prodigy are going to try and tame the Xeno, and that's dumb. But I'm just like, have you seen any alien film before? People have been wanting to turn Xenos into controllable weapons since forever. Y'all have PTSD from Jurassic World, and it shows. Note as well, this chestburster is black in colour, when in previous Alien movies they've been shown to be white in colour. Just a stylistic retcon done for the show, or could there be a deeper meaning? Could this Xeno actually be somewhat different to the usual Xenos we've seen in the past? Also, what would have happened if no one was around when the Xeno broke out? Would it have just escaped? Final thoughts. Once again, another slower character-focused episode, with the most exciting scene being when the Ocellus takes control of the sheep, and the most shocking, I think, being when Nibs reveals she thinks she's pregnant. That just came out of nowhere and had me like, what? All the actors continue to give stellar performances, but for me it was Nibs who stole this episode. Lily Newmark was finally allowed to smile, and her portrayal of a person struggling mentally and rejecting reality was just amazing acting. Another standout was Isaac, formerly known as Tootles, who finally got some decent screen time this episode. Out of all the Lost Boys, he actually seems to be the most mature. He's not in denial or acting jealous or childish. He just wants to be a scientist and treated like a grown man, hence why he changed his name to Isaac from the infantile Tootles. Boy Cavalier, on the other hand, is really showing himself to not actually be all that mature, especially when it comes to his seeming jealousy of Kirsch. He always wants to be the centre of attention and thinks he knows best, but quite possibly he might not be as smart as everyone thinks he is. What with him confusing Isaac Asimov with Arthur C. Clarke and essentially telling Ocellus, I'm the one you want, come and get me. Speaking of Asimov and Clarke, in this episode there are 3 mentions of sets of 3 laws. Clarke's 3 laws, Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, and the 3 wise monkeys. That's all I had to say about that, it was just something I noticed. To round all this off, my favourite part of the entire episode was all the Nibs scenes. I'm really interested and quite worried about what's going to happen to Nibs going forward. Will she get better, or could her mental state really start to deteriorate, leading her to become the first of the Lost Boys to die? Thank you everyone for watching Triple S Reviews. If you enjoyed the video, and I hope you did, give it a like to let me know, and if you want to see more then make sure to subscribe. I also have a variety channel where I post a variety of different videos. If any of them interest you, check them out. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.